Train your mind like a millionaire. They never taught you this in school. They taught you formulas, equations, names of dead emperors. But no one taught you the most important subject, how to think like someone who refuses to stay poor. No one taught you how to master your thoughts. No one told you that your mind is the engine room of your destiny, that every limitation you face was first planted there, by someone else, or worse, by yourself. But now you're here, and I'm here to tell you, if you want the kind of success that bends reality, if you want the kind of freedom that can't be stolen, then you must first learn how to train your mind like a millionaire. Not the Instagram millionaire who flashes fake watches. Not the one who rents a lifestyle just to impress the broke. I'm talking about the thinkers, the builders, the quiet ones who became storms. The men and women who turned invisible thoughts into empires, because they understood one thing: wealth is not earned first in the bank. It's earned first in the mind. Think of Edison. He failed 10,000 times before lighting the world. But he never said, "I failed." He said, "I found 10,000 ways that won't work." Why? Because his mind was trained. He didn't see failure, he saw refinement. Think of Carnegie, born into poverty, a child laborer. But he read, he observed. He studied the rich like a scientist studies a specimen. And when opportunity knocked, he wasn't just ready, he was mentally rich before he ever touched a dollar. That's the truth no one tells you. Money follows the mind, but only when the mind is prepared to lead. Because most people walk around like beggars, not because they lack money, but because they've never once taken ownership of their thoughts. You ask them what they want, they hesitate. You ask them who they are, they mumble. You ask them what their future looks like, they stare blankly. How can the universe respond to someone who doesn't know what they've ordered? Millionaires don't think like that. They don't think in limits. They think in clarity. They think in vision. They think in outcomes. And the greatest of them all, they think in service. Because the mind that asks, "How can I help?" becomes the mind that gets paid in multiples. But it all starts with one choice: to never think average again. To never say, "I can't afford it," but instead say, "How can I afford it?" To never say, "That's not for people like me," but instead say, "That's exactly why it's for me." When you train your mind like a millionaire, you stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You stop reacting to life and start building it. You begin every morning with intention and end every night with accountability. No one's coming to save you. And that's your greatest blessing, because once you realize that you're the author, you stop living in someone else's chapter. You were born poor, maybe, but you were not born to stay that way. No one handed Rockefeller a blueprint. No one gave Oprah a throne. No one laid out the steps for Elon to follow. They built the map in their minds, then walked it with blistered feet. And now it's your turn to stop waiting, to stop blaming, to stop watching others win and whispering to yourself, "They got lucky." Luck favors the prepared mind. And if you train your thoughts, really train them, you'll find that opportunity isn't rare. It's just invisible to the untrained eye. So today, we begin. Not with budgets, not with spreadsheets, but with the only currency that matters first: belief. Not just, "I believe it's possible." That's too soft, too polite. I'm talking about belief that screams louder than your doubt. Belief that pushes you out of bed before sunrise. Belief that keeps writing the plan when everyone else is partying. Belief that doesn't ask for permission, it demands the result. That's what millionaires do. They build from belief. They suffer with faith. They fall with dignity. And they rise with purpose. Belief is not a feeling. It's a discipline. It's waking up when the voices in your head tell you to sleep in. It's showing up when the results haven't shown up yet. It's investing in yourself when no one else will. And it's doing it every single day, without applause, without proof, without a guarantee. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't respond to who you are. It responds to who you decide to become. And most people, they never decide. They drift. They wait. They doubt. They live like they have 1,000 years left. But every millionaire you admire knew this secret early. Time is wealth. Use it well, and you compound results. Waste it, and you dilute your potential. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your standards. That's why millionaires set them high, not because they're special, but because they refuse to operate in mediocrity. They know that how you do anything is how you do everything. So when they make their bed, it's with excellence. When they write a plan, it's with precision. When they speak with conviction because they've trained their minds to think in certainty, not hesitation. That's why people follow them. Not for their money, not for their charm, but for the energy that comes from someone who knows exactly what they want and where they're going. Ask yourself this right now. When people hear your name, do they associate it with momentum? Do they think that's someone who's going somewhere? Or are you still explaining your potential to people who aren't even paying attention? This is why you must protect your mind, like a fortress. Because every voice you let in is either building your empire or burning it down from the inside. Negative people, gossip, excuses, comfort. All of them are thieves, thieves of your greatness. The millionaire mind is built on focus. It doesn't chase 10 things. It masters one. It simplifies. It eliminates. It chooses results over distraction, even when distraction feels good. Joke, because the mind trained for wealth understands this. Comfort is a drug, and success is allergic to it. Growth lives in discomfort. Wealth lives in discipline. And purpose? Purpose lives in the decision to keep going when no one is watching. If you study the greats, Lincoln, Disney, Jobs, Mandela, they all shared one thing in common: an unshakable inner world. They trained it. They guarded it. They built beliefs so deep that when the storms came, and they always come, they didn't drown. They sailed. So what's your internal weather? Is your mind clear or chaotic? Is your self-talk sharp or self-sabotaging? Are your thoughts directed like a laser or scattered like dust in the wind? Train your mind to serve you. Because if you don't, it will betray you. It will tell you lies. You're not ready. You're not enough. You can't compete. You don't deserve it. But the millionaire refuses to listen. Because they've replaced self-doubt with self-mastery. They've written new scripts in their head. I am worthy. I am ready. I am relentless. I don't need easy. I need purpose. And with every repetition, they reinforce that identity. Because here's what most don't realize. Repetition rewires reality. Every time you affirm, every time you visualize, every time you act in alignment with your higher self, you're not faking it. You're forming it. This is what training your mind like a millionaire means. Not just hustling harder, but thinking sharper, living with intention, moving with precision, and surrounding yourself with the kind of discipline that turns a dream into a dynasty. The mind is a muscle. Use it or lose it. Focus it or fragment it. Sharpen it, or it will go dull from doubt. So ask yourself, is my mind working for me or against me? Because until you train it, daily, deliberately, and without compromise, you'll be reacting to life instead of designing it. Millionaires don't wait for clarity. They don't wait for permission. They act in alignment with a vision only they can see. While the masses wait for proof, the self-made build the proof with their hands. Brick by brick, decision by decision, inside a mind that's already seen the outcome. You don't manifest wealth by hoping for it. You command it through action, vision, and belief repeated so often It becomes louder than every doubt in the room. Listen carefully. You are not broke because you lack money. You are broke mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because you have never been taught that wealth is built from discipline. The discipline to say no. The discipline to focus. The discipline to do the work when your mood doesn't match your mission. Millionaires live by a different rulebook. They don't chase dopamine. They chase dominion over self. And once you master yourself, once you become your own greatest asset, money becomes the byproduct, not the goal. You want to know why most people fail? Because they treat their mind like a storage closet, not a launch pad. They let old beliefs collect dust. They store shame on the top shelf. They shove dreams in the corner under a pile of doubt. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Clean it out. Throw it away. Strip it down. Train it again, like a warrior trains for battle. Because every day is a battle, not against the world, but against who you were yesterday. The millionaire wakes up with a target, a mission, a reason. And that reason is bigger than their comfort. It's bigger than their mood. It's bigger than their excuses, because comfort builds nothing. And every person you admire, every builder, thinker, legend, they all had a moment where they said, enough. Enough living small. Enough playing safe. Enough pretending. Enough apologizing for ambition. Enough giving their power away to fear, to doubt, to other people's limitations. And when they reached that moment, they didn't just write it down in a notebook. They reprogrammed the operating system. They deleted the virus of victimhood and uploaded a new identity built on power, clarity, and vision. And you're standing in that moment now. That choice, that pivot point. You either let the old thoughts win, the ones that say you'll fail, it's too late, you're not qualified, or you override the code. You become the architect. You don't wait for the right mood. You create the right mind. Discipline is the doorway, not hustle, not noise, not busy work. Yes, discipline. It's showing up when no one claps. It's sticking to your plan when no one's watching. It's turning your pain into progress and your setbacks into structure. The millionaire doesn't just have routines. They are the routine. From the moment they wake up, their first thought is aligned with their end goal. They don't grab their phone. They grab their focus. They don't check likes. They check alignment. Every minute of their morning has a job: to build a mind that cannot be shaken by distraction, rejection, or delay. Because that's the secret. Millionaires don't win because everything goes right. They win because nothing breaks their rhythm. They've trained their mind to flow like a current around obstacles, through resistance. Unstoppable because it's not made of emotion. It's made of decision. And that's your next step. Decide that you are no longer available for low standards, no longer available for excuses, no longer available for small thinking, small circles, or small dreams. Because your mind was never meant for survival. It was built for strategy, for vision, for design, but only if you dare to use it. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. Every thought, every action, every decision is a vote cast for the kind of life you are building or the kind of life you are tolerating. Your results are not random. They are reflections of the thoughts you entertain, the people you listen to, the habits you repeat when no one is looking. Millionaires understand this better than anyone. You don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to work for, think for, sacrifice for, and stay consistent with. They know success isn't about the environment. It's about energy. And energy is created by one thing: clarity of purpose. When you know why you wake up, when your mission is bigger than your mood, when your dream is more important than your comfort, you become powerful. Because now you're not chasing wealth to impress, you're becoming wealth to express. You're expressing discipline, leadership, patience, vision, and contribution. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes the world stop and listen. not the car, not the watch, not the suit, but the aura of someone who refuses to quit. And here's something you need to hear, really hear. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need the perfect playlist, the perfect weather, or the perfect conditions. You need a decision. Motivation is what amateurs rely on. Discipline is what builds legacies. And legacy begins the moment you stop entertaining weakness as part of your identity. Weak thoughts, weak language, weak habits, all of them must go. Because a millionaire mindset has no room for softness. It is built on strength, forged in focus, and protected by boundaries. They don't allow drama. They don't entertain gossip. They don't spend time explaining their goals to people who've never completed their own. Why? Because every conversation is either a deposit or a withdrawal, and they only bank with those who multiply. So what are you multiplying? Are your thoughts multiplying focus or distraction? Are your habits multiplying confidence or confusion? Are your beliefs multiplying wealth or repelling it? This is not philosophy. This is cause and effect. You sow belief, you reap vision. You sow vision, you reap discipline. You sow discipline, you reap results. You sow results, you reap freedom. And with freedom, you finally live not as a reactor, but as a creator. Most people are reacting to bills, to noise, to news, to opinions, to their own self-inflicted chaos. But you are not most people. You are here because something in you is done, settling, delaying, excusing. Something in you is waking up, and that something is called ownership. Not the kind with deeds and documents. The kind that says, this is my life, my mind, my future, and I refuse to rent it out to fear or failure. That's what it means to train your mind like a millionaire. You become the landlord of your own thoughts. You evict everything that doesn't serve your mission, and you renovate your belief system until every square inch reflects greatness. Millionaires understand this one law above all. The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its old dimensions. So stretch it, tear it, push it, test it. Think so big that your old limits look embarrassed. Plan so boldly that your fear doesn't dare speak. Act so consistently that talent starts to envy your work ethic. Because you don't become legendary by being talented. You become legendary by being relentless. Relentlessness is not just about grinding. It's not noise, it's not chaos. It's calm, it's controlled. It's the quiet fire that never dies out, even when the lights are off, and no one's cheering you on. Because the mind trained for greatness doesn't perform for applause. It performs because it's become the standard. That's the difference. The average mind asks, how long will this take? The millionaire mind asks, how far can I go? The average mind chases balance. The millionaire mind chases alignment. When your actions, thoughts, habits, and goals align, you become a force. You don't need external motivation. Your habits have momentum. Your rituals have rhythm. Your belief system carries the weight of your legacy on its back. Because that's what this is really about, isn't it? Legacy. Not just making money, but making meaning. Not just chasing income, but building impact. Every disciplined thought, every repeated affirmation, every decision to wake up early, to show up when it's hard, to do the thing you said you'd do even when the world gives you every excuse not to, it all becomes brick and mortar for something far greater than your current bank account. You're not just building wealth. You're building a life that makes people say, I didn't think it was possible until I saw them do it. That's the power of trained thought. It doesn't just shift your life. It shifts everyone watching. Because people don't need more influencers. They need examples. And examples don't preach, they embody. So if you want to be the example, if you want to be the blueprint that your family, your community, your children can follow, you don't have time to doubt yourself anymore. You don't have time to shrink to question, to procrastinate. Because while you hesitate, someone else is acting. While you compare, someone else is building. While you worry what they'll think, someone else is becoming unstoppable. But you already know this. That's why you're here. You don't want to play this game halfway. You want to become so mentally unbreakable that the world itself begins to shape around your vision. And it will. Because vision is the seed, but discipline is the water. And belief? Belief is the sunlight that turns that seed into an unshakable tree. You want wealth? Good. But understand this. Wealth is not the mansion, not the car, not the title. It's the ability to choose your time, to choose your work, to choose who you become. But choice only comes when you've earned it. And you earn it when you've out-disciplined every excuse that ever lived in your body. So next time your alarm rings, get up like your future depends on it. Because it does. Next time your comfort whispers, skip today, you whisper back, not anymore. Because you are no longer living at the mercy of your moods. You are governed by mission. You are no longer addicted to convenience. You are loyal to clarity. And you are no longer waiting for life to hand you purpose. You are creating purpose, one powerful thought at a time. Purpose doesn't arrive in a package. It's not delivered. It's discovered deep in the trenches of discipline. When you commit to growth long enough, when you endure the silence, when you push past the noise and the doubt and the boredom, something breaks through. Something within you wakes up, and it says, this is who I really am. Not the version they labeled. Not the version they doubted. Not the version that played small to make others comfortable. But the real version, the millionaire in mindset, the leader in silence, the architect of a life that defies gravity. Most people never meet that version of themselves because most people quit too early. They get excited for a week, maybe a month, then they return to distraction, return to comfort, return to the graveyard of almost, but not you. You're not building for the month. You're building for the decade. You're not interested in hype. You're invested in habits. Because hype fades. But habits create freedom. Think of it like this. Every disciplined choice you make is a vote for the identity you want to become. So when you choose to read instead of scroll, wake up instead of snooze, speak life instead of complaining, you're not just doing something good. You're casting a ballot. You're telling your subconscious, this is who I am now. And over time, your subconscious listens. It adapts. It rewires. It begins to default to power instead of passivity, to action instead of avoidance. This is the silent revolution of the millionaire mind. Not loud, not flashy, but inevitable. Because when your thoughts align with your goals, and your goals align with your values, and your values align with your actions, you become unshakable. Your old life will try to pull you back. The people who knew the old you will test the new one. But this is when the mind steps forward and says, we don't live there anymore. You've moved, upgraded. You're living in clarity now, in high standards, in relentless vision, in execution over excuses. And from this place, money becomes a servant, not a master. Fear becomes fuel, not a chain. Doubt becomes data, not defeat. Because nothing outside you is more powerful than what's been built within you. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need perfect conditions. You need alignment, a thought, a decision, a habit, a life. This is the blueprint. Not written in gold, but etched in effort. And now, you're ready for the final ascent. Now listen closely. There comes a point when training your mind isn't just about you anymore. Not just your wealth, not just your growth, but your ripple. Because someone's watching you right now. Maybe your child, maybe a friend, maybe your younger self, buried inside, still hoping you'll choose greatness. You are not just the student of your life. You are its teacher, its author, its voice in the silence. And when you train your mind like a millionaire, you give that voice power, not arrogance, authority. The authority to rewrite your story, to redefine what's possible, to stand tall in a world that whispers, be realistic, and shout back, watch me. Watch me rise with nothing but belief. Watch me turn thoughts into systems, dreams into strategy, vision into volume. Because the real millionaire isn't the one who has money. It's the one who knows how to create value, again and again in any environment, any season, any market, any moment. The real millionaire is the one who can lose it all and rebuild, stronger, wiser, faster, because their greatest asset was never in a vault. It was in their mind. So what will you do now? Now that you know the only gap between you and the life you want is the mental conditioning you choose to commit to daily. Not someday, not when you feel like it, but today, right now, in this hour. Because your destiny doesn't care how you feel. It responds to how you train. Discipline over drama. Purpose over pity. Vision over validation. That's the code. That's the path. That's the difference between those who wish. And this is how millionaires are born. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the story, don't forget like, comment, and share.